clarity comes from action, not from, over-analysis. So where you are with what you have, what's the first thing that you can do? And that would end up bringing you closer to achieving an impact and making it sustainable. Don't try to find all the solutions in advance, because that's not usually the case. Like, the more you act, the more people you meet, and that's the more solutions are being created for things for you to work out.
Did you know the average person will work 90,000 hours in their lifetime? What if you could use those hours to find fulfillment and become a disruptor for good? Welcome to the Work That's Worth It podcast. I'm Georgie Enthoven, and I'm here to demonstrate that an ambitious, meaningful, and rewarding career is not just a dream, it's achievable. Each episode will dive into conversations with global change makers who've cracked the code on combining income and impact. If you've ever felt like you were torn between a paycheck and your purpose, or maybe you simply yearn for more purpose, you're going to be exposed to the ambitious humans who have done it themselves. Ready to make your work worth it? Let's get started. If not now, then when? Being young in the workforce has numerous advantages. But what stands out most is having fresh eyes, energy, and the optimism to jump in. Although it may not feel this way, it's simply easier to take risks when you're young, before a mortgage, family obligations, and the weight of what-ifs piling up. Yet for so many people, actually jumping in and trying out your vision for the world feels too overwhelming. We wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect level of readiness. Today's conversation with Kostapanos Miliaresis from Greece will show you how he jumped in to follow his curiosity to build something meaningful. Everyone starts before they're ready, and believing in yourself and the problem you're trying to solve is often enough to begin. Kind and wise beyond his years, at 20 years old during the economic crisis in Greece, Kostapanos noticed a gap. Nonprofits desperately needed support, and young people had incredible skills but lacked opportunities to utilize them due to sky-high unemployment. Instead of waiting for someone else to bridge it, he pitched a 60-second idea to a student competition. That idea became Ethalon, mobilizing more than 15,000 volunteers, contributing over 1 million hours of service to over 350 not-for-profits, and becoming one of Greece's fastest-growing volunteer networks. He followed his curiosity about creating even bigger impact, earning Forbes 30 Under 30 recognition as a social entrepreneur, becoming an Ashoka changemaker, receiving a U.S. State Department fellowship, and working with Fortune 500 companies, building partnerships between volunteers, NGOs, and corporations. Then he pursued an MBA in FinTech and Global Sustainability at Fordham University because he wanted to understand how to scale impact from inside corporate systems. In our conversation, you'll hear why clarity comes before action, not more analysis, why the sooner you remove yourself from the solution, the bigger it can become, and why doing something great isn't about achievement, it's about contribution. Let's begin. Kostapanos, it's a real treat to have you on the Work That's Worth It podcast. Thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a great honor, and I love all the other speakers you had so far, so can't wait to contribute as well.
Yeah, well, this is going to be a fun conversation. And I noticed while doing some research and talking to you that your banner on LinkedIn says, "Do something great." What does great look like for you, and why is that important for people to know that that's important to you?
I love that we start with this. So for me, great can mean different things to different people, and that's absolutely okay. I think success can be different things. For me, it was always about do something meaningful, and that's one of the reasons that I wanted to be more involved in corporate social responsibility, because I could see companies collaborating with nonprofits and just staying in a surface level, just do the basic things, just send a PR report about it, and not actually going deeper to the root causes. So since when I was 20, actually, and I had the opportunity to collaborate more with the nonprofits, that was always the core part for me, to do something that will change, something that will be meaningful, and not just to say we did something and go on.
Yeah, that's wonderful to hear. And I know that you got your career started in what I call very focused on a contribution that you want to make in the world. Would you share with us how you got started?
Yes, as you said, I want to contribute. I have never thought about it with the word of contribution. I was a student in the university in my third year. I was still in Greece back then, actually. And back then, Greece was facing a huge economical crisis, and I wanted to do something about it. It wasn't something huge back then. I could see many of my colleagues, the students that were at the university that couldn't find a job because youth unemployment was over 50%. And at the same time, many nonprofits, like they couldn't find the support they needed. So I went to a student competition and I pitched an idea of why we could have a platform that could connect all those people who might not have a job, but they have their passion, the energy, the skills, with nonprofits and other projects that needed support. Just like that, I pitched it in 60 seconds. The competition was 52 hours, and that ended up being one of the biggest volunteering platforms in the country over the next years. So that was the contribution, I would say.
Amazing contribution. And there's something interesting about what you just shared. And I see that there's a window of opportunity where being in the university structure really supports social enterprises and people wanting to do good and contribute to the world. And there's lots of opportunity and resources that people get behind you. And I know that you have been able to be part of different organizations or get recognition from different organizations that have supported all this good work that you've done. Can you talk about that window of time where people really do want to put energy and resources into you for doing great work?
Yes, of course. And let me first say, so I have been really grateful about my life. I was able to participate in amazing programs, amazing communities, meet wonderful people. And I remember once that I met with the grandson of Howard Buffett, like the investor, and he said that his grandfather gave them, enough support to do whatever they want, but not that much in order to do nothing. And I would say that was the same thing for me because I was in a public university. Like there weren't many resources, many funds. There were opportunities, but you had to go and get them. Same when I did my MBA in New York. I wasn't like in NYU or Columbia that the recruiters were coming to you. So I think it's a balance of yes, accept, find the support you need, but at the same time, not lay back and wait for all the programs and institutions to just support you. You have to go out there and fight for it. And I think the fact that I grew up in a country during, a big economical crisis, opportunity didn't exist and you had to create for them. It's something that had stayed with me in my whole life.
Yeah. So almost like I love this because sometimes some of our capabilities or our gifts are things that we have just gained from our childhood. And it sounds like for you, resilience is one of them and grit to actually make something happen.
Yes, I always enjoy finding solutions.
Yeah.
At least I want to believe that I'm good at it.
Yeah.
Or at least I'm trying.
What would you say helped you find work that you wanted to pour your heart into over the different stages of your life? Feel free to share any examples.
Can I add something more in the previous response?
Yeah,
so that's okay.
Yeah.
So I just remember the president of the institute I was working, that he introduced me to the lead and lag indicators. Have you ever heard about it?
No.
So the lead and the lag indicators is about the things that you can control vs the found outcome. I would say like contribution vs achievement. Like when you're looking for a job, you can't control how many interviews you're going to get, how many assessments, how many job offers. Like the only thing you control is how many applications you're going to do, how many coffee chats, how many introductions. Same when you're fundraising, you can't really predict or affect if someone's going to end up saying, yes, we're going to fund your project or not. The only thing you can control is how many pitch presentations you're going to do and, how many applications you're going to send. So that's the first part. And I think I grew up knowing that we can only control our contribution. We can only control our effort because you don't know who else is the candidate for the same position. You can't control which other project has also applied for the same fund. So I think that's also something that we have to keep in mind. And I think that's part of the universe as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good framework and reminder of not being able to sort of control the outcome, but you can definitely have the right mindset and put the right inputs into a vision that you would like to see come forward. How do you know you found something to pour your heart into?
I was lucky. I was lucky because for me, it was pretty clear. I was volunteering since I was 7 years old. I was always involved in different nonprofits in the community. So then when at 20 I realized that issue, I had an idea about the platform that ended up defining my career since then, like for the last 15 years. If I have to give a practical advice, I tend to use like these 30 circles that somehow look like ikigai, that the one thing is for you to think what you love, like what you enjoy to do when you were a child, which are the things that you do that you don't care how much time pass, the things that you really love and you don't care if you fail or succeed, like you're having good time doing them. And then it's like the second circle that you think, which are the things that you're good at, which might be what you have studied, what you have explored, what you have really practiced and trained. And then the third circle is what's the need out there, like what's something that can be useful for others. And of course, there are things that, for example, you could be good at and they could be a need out there, but you don't love it. And that's usually, some job that you go from 9 to 5, 9 to 6. But then there is this sweet spot that combines all those things. So for me, I was able to discover that. And that's the practical advice. But I want to say that at the end of the day, usually it's random. I would say it's usually all those small moments. And if I have to be 100% honest with myself, like if I hadn't joined that competition back then on a Friday evening, would I have done this career or something completely different? So I want to say that looking backwards, it's not always that you know in advance what's the path in front of you and what you're going to end up focusing. It's how different things you have done are connecting together and show you the way, and they make more sense when you look at afterwards.
Yeah. So saying yes to the opportunities and trusting it's taking you in the right direction.
Yes, I think it's about how we call it. Yeah, I would say that because lots of things are changing so fast that, something that could be for you a couple of years ago is not relevant anymore. So you have to be agile.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I know that you have evolved in your career and from where you started. And I wanted to get your thoughts on how do you let go something you've built that you've really cared for and nurtured? And if you can share the experience you had and fill us in.
So now I'm realizing that actually, because you explain it in that way, I realize that I have many things that I learned in a very young age that just stuck with me. I remember I was with my godfather and he was describing about this, for an idea to succeed, like the sooner you remove yourself, the bigger it will become. And he was explaining, and think of that lady. She has this bakery. She can bake 200 cookies. As long as she's the one baking those cookies, she can always make up to 200, maybe 250, but that's it. The sooner she removes herself from the equation and teach other people how to make the same cookies, yes, maybe they will be 90% good, just to be 100% honest, but then they can make 2,000 cookies. So that was something that stayed with me for any idea design. It's like we always think about the financial sustainability, but for me, it was also important, I would say, the human sustainability, the talent sustainability, how other people can also be involved and continue the work. So the number one thing that for me for a very early age was to remove myself. Like I didn't expect me to be present in every collaboration, in every event, in every project, but how I could have a team around me that they will feel the project themselves, like they owned it as well, in order to contribute and participate. So that's the one thing, that don't just be by yourself, include other people in the solution, because then it's easier, this idea to keep going, even if you are not there. And the second thing I would say, because as you know, I'm in the social impact space, and with nonprofits, all nonprofits, they want to tackle an issue. But the healthy thing to do, your vision as a nonprofit or a social enterprise, is to solve the issue. Don't keep living because of the issue. Don't keep receive funding for the same problem. Your solution should be how I'm going to solve this problem so I'm not needed anymore. And I can give an example. One of the projects we were doing, like we were supporting people with disabilities. In the beginning, we were just helping them in their everyday life. The more we were interacting with them, we realized, okay, those people, they might have a disability, but they're amazing. So why they're not? Participate more. And then we realized it's not them the problem. Volunteerism was not accessible for them. So we work in order to make volunteerism accessible. So then they were volunteering and they were amazing. And then we said, okay, if those people are amazing at volunteering, why they don't have a job? Why, like people with disability, they have a 90% unemployment? So we designed a career fair fully accessible only for people with disabilities. And that was amazing. We had so many people participating. We have so many companies that believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion who were there. And we were doing that. But if we kept continuing doing it, just having a separate day for those people, that's not inclusion, that's separation. So our goal from the very beginning was like how we're going to design this in order in 3 years to be adopted by the, everyday career days that happening and for them to be accessible. So it's something that we should always, and I'm sorry, that's a long response, I know, but it's something that I really believe to design solutions that can keep going without you or that they actually solve the problem so you can go to the next one.
Yeah, it's so important what you said is like first, the issue or the problem that you're solving is greater than you. So it's not about you. It's a problem that you may be the seed, but it needs to live on well beyond you. And then the second piece is, in some cases, if you solve the problem really well, you solve yourself out of the work that you're doing. And you have to be okay with that. So it's a different mindset than wanting more and more market share. It's actually, you may no longer be needed at all in the problem that you're solving.
In social impact space, at least, yeah, I think that's the case. That will be the solution.
Yeah. Now, you strike me as such a warm and friendly person. And I think about often with the people that I work with is how do you bring more people into your inner world that want to do good and care about the world, care about humanity, care about the environment? And there's a saying that you're the average of your 5 closest friends. And I often think with people that I am working with is how do you bring more people into that inner circle, similar to the kind of people you want to elevate who you are. I wanted to know more about your inner circle and who are those people inside your circle, not necessarily their names, but that support you have that enhances what you do.
That's a wonderful question. So let me think. Something that I'm not sure if I'm that strategic to think which are the 5 people and how to use them, because usually it's the thing that, we have some similarities, of course, like we have common values and we trust. But so I remember I was reading, do you know Adam Grant? I think we have discussed this already. So it's in the book in the Give and Take that was saying that how the ties created not by the strong ties that you have with them, with the people that you're already in the same community, in the same network, but with the weak ties as well. So for me, it was always like to focus on the similarities that we have. We like to have the common beliefs, but at the same time, like to embrace the diversity that we have with each other. Like if I have to think of my founding team when we started Ethelon, all of us we wanted to develop like a platform for volunteerism, but each one of us, they have their own, reasons and what's, in it for them. So I think that the closest 5 people would be people that, will have some similarities, but at the same time, each one of us can bring a different type of value in the relationship, but without being so transactional, what you bring, what you are. I think for me, it's more transformative, like the people that, we can trust and we can be safe and we can be ourselves. So I think at the end of the day, if I have to delete everything I say and just reply, in one sentence, it would be the 5 people that I feel comfortable enough to be super successful and be proud and don't feel bad about it, or to not be successful at all, to be down and be my full self, that I have an up and downs and still be okay to be around them. So I would say the 5 people would be that embrace, our full self and not just our best self.
Yeah. That is like the safety net of the people who will catch you and allow you to take risks, but they're going to be there for you no matter what.
Yes. And I think that's why you stay with them like in the long term.
Yeah.
And that you want to be for them as well. And I think that's the most important, because you ask me about the 5 people and I'm like, what's in it for them? What I'm giving? And like, it's the 5 people closer to you are the 5 people that you want to contribute and you want to succeed. So for me, I think that's the reply. Like, what are the 5 people that I want to contribute and see them succeeding the most?
I mean, it doesn't surprise me in the slightest that is how you would interpret that, because you are naturally a giving person. So it's not going to be transactional for you. It's also how you fill the cup for others. So that makes a lot of sense. And I think that's very important to point out.
It was a great question. Thank you very much. It took a lot of thinking, but I think I know now where I stand.
Yeah. And I also love what you shared, and it's very consistent to the findings that I had when I was writing the book, is you want to surround yourself by people who share similar values to you, but have very different perspectives. And so I think sometimes we think, oh, you want people that are similar to you, but that would limit you so much if you didn't have the broad perspectives. But if you have very broad perspectives and different values, it's hard to find that common ground of what you're working towards. So it sounds like you have found yourself in a similar place. So I also wanted to find out from you if you can share a little bit about what you're doing now, or what makes your work worth it for you? Like, what inspires you on a day-to-day basis now?
So right now I'm in a great position that, I started by being, a social entrepreneur and having something on my own, which was amazing, see the organization grow. And I had the chance in this trip, to meet so many great nonprofits and so many great companies. For the last 5 years, I decided that, I wanted to evolve more. And that's why I ended up doing, the corporate world and see which change I can achieve some as entrepreneur and like join some of those clients I was working with and help from the inside. So now I'm doing full circle, having seen from the company side, the nonprofit side, the social enterprise, the agency, like to be as a consultant and be able to support specific companies, again, on the CSR goals, nonprofit companies of how they can grow. But something that's really close to my heart and has changed for me is the word consistency. Like it's the thing that we repeatedly do, which I don't think when I was growing up, because, we were scaling that much, it was there. Like I could have 9 amazing projects and then I could have one project that wasn't that good. And that ends up being on the micro habits, like on the things that we do daily and the micro actions. So I have started designing one idea that is how those things that we do daily, both in our personal and professional life, can really have a significant impact on us. Like we think that, okay, well, I want to run a marathon. It's not that you want to run a marathon, you want to evolve to the person that runs every day. I want to be more kind. It's not like that, you're going to be kind today and then, for a week you're not going to be kind. It's about how you're going to be, kind every day. And I think this has huge effect in the corporate world as well, especially if you think about, the values and the culture that we have and we say as a company. But it's not the things on the wall, it's the things that we repeatedly do. So the last few months, we are designing this idea of how we could have many things done repeatedly, but from 1,000 of people inside the company that can really save the culture of a company.
Yeah, I love that you're talking about shifting to designing something from the scratch to actually being an entrepreneur. And when I talk to young people, finding their place of where their work is worth it, there's opportunities at large companies that you wouldn't think are impact focused, but having an impact within those companies often gives you larger levers to pull. So as you think about playing bigger for what you do, and especially sort of scaling this kindness or whatever it is on a mindset through a larger company, how do you keep yourself or allow yourself to think big when it comes to doing good in the world?
I think big by thinking of other people. I like that's usually my go-to. Like even for the idea I shared before, it's like, okay, who could be involved with it? It's about the people that you bring with you, like the community. That's how you make something bigger because you have your own circle, and then another, organization or person or company has their own circle. Like if you manage to design something together, that automatically becomes, much bigger. Think it as, a collab post on Instagram, get your followers and the other companies followers, and by together you have much broader reach. So for me, thinking something bigger is like how many people, how different people could be involved with this. And that like I'm a big believer of, partnerships between the nonprofit world, the corporate world, and the foundations, because I think no one owns the truth. Like we tend to love our solutions so much, but like each one of us can contribute for different ways. Like the nonprofits are really good, like at the grassroots, like they know the exact needs of the community. The companies really have, the resources to make it scale. And the foundations can really help like in the long-term vision. So I would say my place in this world and how to make this bigger is by connecting those different worlds together and design something much more holistic and not just, ourselves try to do a solve part of the whole problem.
Yeah. So thinking about all the stakeholders for you is something that probably comes naturally, and building these win-win-win-win models where everybody is benefiting from the solution that you're offering. Is that something that is important to you?
Yeah, that's the most important thing for me, like to not have stakeholders excluded. And in the beginning, I was doing out of my heart. Now I study a lot, like different frameworks and different approaches in order to do that, because it's really interesting how it changes in different parts of the world. So the multicultural is an important element of it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I work also with a lot of international folks, and you went and got your MBA in New York, right? At
Yes,
Fordham?
exactly.
Yeah. And I am interested in what that opened up for you being an immigrant to the US and how important that was and the opportunities it gives you to shift in your career. We have lots of people considering graduate school, so I'm interested in what it gave you.
That's a great question. Of course, it's much more difficult because you have 1,000 more things, to consider when making applications and when, applying for, the university, the job market afterwards. But for me, going to different countries, and I had the opportunity to come to the US since 2014 in different programs, like from the Clinton Global Initiative, when with the Forbes Under 30, then with my MBA, then with some of our global clients, like with the Points of Light network that I really appreciate. There is a huge support here in the US for people who want to do their own thing and much bigger budget, much greater view. Like you can design solutions here, and the solutions I have designed with the US companies here that can really affect the whole world. That's for granted. But at the same time, something that happened to me that I didn't have to be jealous. Like I remember being, in Greece or in other, in Europe or, in other places and seeing of all those amazing things that was happening in the US, and you were thinking, okay, those people should be, much, much smarter, capable, everything. And I think that, coming here, you realize that you don't have something to be jealous. Those are everyday people as you, that of course they have an amazing support and ecosystem and context in order to achieve those things. So for me, it would like to believe even more in the idea and the self-power and the community around me to do something similar, no matter where you are.
Okay. So, and also really believing in the good in people and the good in yourself, it sounds like.
100%.
Yeah. As we get close to the end of the conversation, I am curious, after having all different kinds of experiences that you have gathered working with different people, what advice would you give to young people who are early in their career or finishing university and wanting to have impact and also earn a living?
Just start. No one had figured it out from the beginning. Like you act, you start, you try, you fail, you see what you can learn, what you can improve, you start again. So I think it's about this resilience and not having all the answers. It's something that I enjoy to say that, clarity comes from action, not from, over-analysis. So where you are with what you have, what's the first thing that you can do? And that would end up bringing you closer to achieving an impact and making it sustainable. Don't try to find all the solutions in advance because that's not usually the case. Like the more you act, the more people you meet, and that's the more solutions are being created for things for you to work out.
Yeah, that is excellent advice, and I'll take that to heart, and I can second that. Even at an older age, for me, getting started later in life on this project that I'm doing with work that's worth it. So it's not just for young people, that advice you've given. I think it's for anybody who's willing to be a beginner and to follow something that is important to them.
That's wonderful. I love the self-reflection, and I would say, you had to ask George when you started this podcast if you could have imagined all those people joining and all those stories and all the people you managed to help. Like you couldn't have, guessed it the very first day. You have the vision and you have the belief, but then you have to act, on the day to day.
Yes, and I love that you brought that back, and that is very observant of you. But I think then also being open to those beautiful surprises that come from the work that you do, especially when you're doing good work in the world. And for me, that has been bringing people like you into my world, but also hearing how fulfilled these kinds of people who are able to have income and impact in their lives, how fulfilled they are in life compared to sort of the outside world that I am also exposed to. So I feel like it's a real privilege to be able to have these conversations with someone like you.
Thanks so much. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity to connect with you and learn more about your work. So that makes two of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom. And I appreciate everything and look forward to being in touch.
Wonderful. Take care and keep up the great work. Thank you very much once again.
There were tons of hot takes from this episode, but in addition to be willing to get started and try out your idea, here are a few nuggets I wanted to emphasize. First, consistency over intensity. It's not about running a marathon once. It's about being the person who runs every day. The things we do repeatedly, the micro habits and the daily actions, have a much bigger impact than one-off grand gestures. Second, letting go to scale. The sooner you remove yourself, the bigger it'll become. If you're the one who can bake the cookies, you'll only ever make 200. Teach others to make 90% as good at cookies, and suddenly you can make 2,000. Design solutions that keep you going without you. Third, on curating networks. Strong ties matter, but weak ties create opportunities. Your close network shares your values, but it's the diverse perspective and weak ties across different communities that open doors and create unexpected collaborations. I hope you can pick up from the tone of Kostapanos' conversation with me today an example of the kind of thoughtful people you get to bring into your world when you focus on doing good work. You don't dread Monday mornings if you get to go to work alongside people like him. And that's a wrap for today's episode of Work That's Worth It. Remember, every conversation we share is designed to empower you to build a career that's truly worth your time and energy. There are future disruptors out there just like you who would appreciate the conversations in this podcast. Please support me by spreading the word and sharing this episode with a friend or two, or visit my website at georgieenthoven.com. That's spelled GeorgienThoven.com. Until next time, ask yourself, what problems am I solving, and are they worth my valuable time? Your intentional choices today can lead to exponential impact tomorrow. Thanks for listening.